We're here with Dayton and Abigail, and this is a Betrothal Guys love story. So tell me, how long have you two been married?
A little less than 8 years now, I think.
Almost 8.
Almost 8 years. Yeah, that's what I said. Almost 8.
Mm-hmm.
And how many children?
We have 4.
Fourth one on
once
the way.
you count the one that's on the way.
Okay,
So
that's nice.
Always count the ones on the way.
What we wanted to find out about is how you ended up getting betrothed. So maybe you start back when you first started hearing about betrothal, when the concept came to your mind. So maybe Dayton,
Okay.
How long?
So, I guess betrothal for me, that started a long time ago because my parents, since I was probably like 11 or 12, have talked about doing a betrothal style marriage where, basically cutting out the typical dating or even courting process and just kind of going with a more traditional betrothal situation. And so that's been like I say, since I was like 12 probably. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, so that's been, mom and dad basically just, it's always been what I've anticipated happening. And so I never really got into I never ever was in the mode of thinking, I'm going to date or I'm going to court someone. It was pretty much from the time that I first started being interested, I was already on the betrothal side of things.
Okay.
Thanks to mom and dad. So that was nice.
Abigail, so for you, was it similar? Did you kind of grow up with that, or?
No. Growing up, I don't know if I knew what I was going to do. I guess whatever, mom and dad. It wasn't until I was maybe 16-ish that I even ever heard of betrothal, and I was kind of like, that's weird, that I'm not doing that. And I don't think even before we got betrothed I was planning on doing it. It's just kind of what happened.
when you're as charismatic as I am, she can't say no.
Yeah, so now we just have to figure out how we got from I'm never going to do that to doing that.
Yeah, I never did anything else. It's not like I dated or courted before that, but wasn't necessarily planning on only doing betrothal.
What was it that you were looking for or thinking about in a spouse, or did you not really have any say in that? How did that go?
No, I had say in it. I talked about different.
So you weren't talking like an arranged marriage when your parents were telling you?
Yeah, no, not an arranged marriage. I was very much in communication with dad and even mom to some degree. Actually, to a large degree, I should say. But yeah, talking with them about it and obviously reading scripture, praying about things, looking for a wife that would fulfill a lot of those characteristics that I thought seemed biblical, Proverbs 31 woman or whatever. Those are the things that I was looking for in a wife, and I was looking for my parents' approval in it as well. So that would be, a big part of it. Actually, one of the bigger parts. Well, they were both big parts. Looking at the biblical qualifications that I was wanting in a wife, and also my parents' approval in it too. So
that they're seeing the same thing,
right? Yeah. So they were in sync with each other.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I did not. I don't think. I wouldn't recommend anyone going into a situation that they know their parents aren't in sync with whatever it is. So that's where I was at for sure.
When you met Abigail, did you know that was right away?
No, I didn't. The very first time we met Abigail, that I met Abigail, was a series of events that happened. We were both in Israel on a missions trip, and we just happened to be in contact with someone who was supposed to be picking them up from the airport, and they forgot them. They didn't know they were coming, and they were in a different part of the country, and they were not going to make it there in time. So they called because we were in Jerusalem at the time. And they're like, hey, can you go pick up this father and daughter from the airport? We literally don't have anyone there to pick them up. Can you go get them? And so we went, or I should say Dad and Barrett went and picked them up from the airport and brought Abigail and her dad back with them from the airport. And honestly, like with the first time that we met, she was only 16.
Yeah.
So I was not really considering it really because I just, she was just too young. So I didn't really put any thought into it, honestly. I thought she was a nice girl. Obviously, I thought she was cute. But yeah, 16. So it's, just kind of like, oh, she's cute, but she's 16. So you move on. But yeah, so then after they brought them back, we were going to take them to where they were originally going to be staying for the time they were in Israel there.
Yeah.
But like I said, everyone from the group that they were with was not there currently. Yeah. They were in a different location. And so we were like, hey, we can take you there and you'll be by yourself for the weekend, or you can stay here, have Shabbat with us. And then we'll take you out on Sunday when the rest of that crew comes back.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. So we ended up hanging out with them all weekend, and it was really nice. Actually, my dad and her dad got to visit a lot. I got to visit with her dad some. Not, like I say, not with any intention. There was no intention there at all. But just kind of get to visit with him and realize we were, pretty similar on a lot of key core issues, issues that we thought were important. But like I said, it never, at that point, it wasn't like we were investigating to see if I was going to be interested in her, because she was only 16. So,
yeah.
That was fun. It was an adventure. We got to know her and her dad quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And then that was actually kind of what started the whole friendship between the two families. Mm-hmm. And then the following year, we went back to Israel again, and we ended up renting a house with her family. Mm-hmm. So my whole family and her whole family and a couple other families, we rented a big mansion in Jerusalem, and that was a blast. We spent 2.5 months there. And so that 2.5 months, that second trip to Israel, was really where we got to know her family. I got to know her dad a lot, got to know her a lot better. And at that point, I still wasn't really considering her because she was only 17 at the time.
Right.
Not seriously. I hadn't seriously started considering her at that point.
So, Abigail, did Dayton stand out to you in either of those first two times in Israel, or was he just kind of...
Be kind.
I know you're young.
I don't think for a potential husband, I really enjoyed their family, and I must have... my family must have known I enjoyed their family, because when we went back to Israel the second year with my whole family, we want to stay with the Warrens, even though they'd never met you before. I really liked their family. We enjoyed hanging out. We thought they were a blast. But I think I mentioned to my dad at one point that I don't think I could marry anyone from their family because some of their beliefs were so out there.
Can't argue with that.
I realized later that wasn't important.
So nothing happened because she was 16 and 17. What was the initiation? Was that from you? Was that from your parents noticing something? What was the initiation?
I thought about her some after that trip. This was months later. I thought about her some as a possibility because she was fixing to turn 18. But honestly, I hadn't really seriously considered her. Mm-hmm. And then actually my brother, he brought her up to me and he was like, hey, have you thought about her? I've talked with Dad about it some, and we think we like her. We like her family. What do you think about her? And I was like, well, yeah, I like her. She's too young because she was only 17 at the time. And they're like, well, she's fixing to turn 18. And I didn't really realize that she was fixing to turn 18. And so I was like, oh, really? Okay. If she's fixing to turn 18, then maybe we can consider something. And so that was probably, that would have been halfway between Tabernacles and Passover. It seems like those are our landmark
so in the
events.
In the middle of the winter?
Yeah, so it would have been in the middle of the winter. I know Dad, he kept in touch with her dad. And I remember they were talking one time for a couple hours, some Shabbat or something like that. And Barrett had mentioned to me. And so then I mentioned to Dad after that that I was really interested in her and wanted to start praying about it more seriously and wanted to know what him and my mom thought about it and all that stuff. So that would be the first time. That would be at the beginning of when I really started to consider her as a possible option. I think it was probably what would have been that following Passover. So it would have been, 2 or 3 months later, that we kept Passover with their family and a bunch of other people. And that was when I really kind of decided that I wanted to. So it took a few months there of me praying and talking with my parents about it. And then, so like I said, Passover was when I really started to seriously think that I wanted to pursue it, not just, talk about it and think about it, but actually do something about it. But I did not, we didn't approach her family. We didn't approach her dad, that Passover. And cause I was still kind of mulling it over, but basically by the end of Passover, end of Unleavened Bread, I decided that I wanted to pursue it. So they lived in Alaska, and so they had driven down and they were going to drive back up. And so they stopped by our place for a few days after they'd gone and seen some family and relatives and stuff. And so they were there, and I was like, let's ask now. And so I talked, because I talked to Dad about it, I talked to Mom about it. They were both okay with it. And they thought it was what Yahweh would want. And so that was when Dad finally went and approached her dad about it.
So what was your expectation at that point?
My expectation was for Dad to approach her dad, present the situation, and then for her dad to go back to Alaska and mull it over for several months, possibly. So that was my expectation. I expected to know, honestly. I doubted that Abigail would be interested in marrying someone like me for the same reason she's already mentioned. So, so I had my serious and legitimate doubts that she would say yes, and so I didn't really know what her parents would really think about it. I mean, I knew her parents pretty well, and I thought they liked me, but I wasn't, you always wonder. So.
My parents always assumed that they would think about it for a few months and ask the young man lots of questions and have to get to know him, but I think they told me the same day you asked, because they're like, we already know Dayton so well and we like him so much, there's nothing we have to ask him. Yeah. I think my mom was really excited.
Yeah, so when my dad went to her dad, her dad said he wasn't going to tell Abigail until after they left, so that it wouldn't be awkward between us. And so that's what my dad told me. So I was operating, they were there for 4 days. So I was operating under the assumption that she had no idea that I was interested, which did take the edge off a little bit. It would have been a little awkward maybe. So that was nice. And then this was probably like, 3 days into 3 days. It was 3 days after Dad had asked her dad. I was out mowing on the tractor, and her dad came up to me while I was out mowing on the tractor, and he's waving me down. So I'm like, heart palpitations and start freaking out. And he's like, I think his exact words were, as soon as you can, let's you and your dad and me have a powwow. I was like, a powwow? What? A powwow? Are we going to skin someone? So I was very nervous. So I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. No, I'm like trying to act all, casual and nonchalant, but I'm like freaking out on the inside. And so I went inside, and my dad was on the phone with my grandmother, and I was like, we need, Paul wants to have a powwow, is what he said, a powwow. He said a powwow. And Dad's like, and I'm like, I know you're on the phone, but it's important. Her father wants to have a powwow. And I'm like, get off the phone. So anyways, he gets off the phone with my grandma, and we went out and talked to Paul, and I was nervous, very nervous. And Paul basically, he starts talking to us. He really starts spelling out a lot of Abigail's flaws that he saw. And I guess he wanted to make sure that I knew about them before I, bit the bullet. But he's like leading in with all these things that, he's not necessarily sure about, with as far as Abigail, like some of her personality traits and stuff. And I'm like, the whole time, like, because he's talking like for 10 or 15 minutes about, some of these things that he wants to make sure that I understand or whatever. And I'm like, is he letting me down slowly? Is he trying to like give me a bunch of reasons why, I should feel good about him saying no? So I'm like literally like the whole time just freaking out, and we're just talking, and he's talking with Dad a little bit, and they're talking about how they think betrothal should work, and once everyone says yes, that it's a done deal. And I'm like, I think at one point I even did. I was like, so what are we saying here? And he's like, oh yeah. He said, I think that, me and, my wife and Abigail, we're good. We're ready to do it. And I was like, I literally started, I could have, anyways.
So Abigail, from how things were happening on your end, you said you think your dad told you right away. Mm-hmm. So you knew for a while, but Dayton didn't know that you knew.
Yeah, for the 3 days between when he asked. Yeah. And I was very glad he didn't know that I knew, because that would have made it way more awkward. But yeah.
So, we played ping pong, and she didn't say a thing about it.
Very nice. So what did you do with those 3 days? Were you considering? Did you know right away? Were you?
I
what
didn't.
were your thoughts for the
Yeah.
for that time?
I don't know. I didn't know right away. At first, I was like, when Dad first told me, I was like a little bit excited because someone had asked, but stressed out because I had to figure out what to answer. So I think I was very stressed out for the 3 days. And I was just like, I don't know what to say. I was like, well, if you don't know what to say, then you just have to say no. And I was like, well, I don't want to say no, so I guess I'll say yes. And honestly, that was probably my thought process.
So she couldn't think of a good reason to say no.
No, I just didn't want to say no.
Yeah. I'll take a yes, however it comes.
Yeah, I may not, advise other girls to say yes on those terms, but it worked out great for us.
I would.
How did you go about doing a betrothal?
Both of our families were pretty confident and staunch in the belief that once I officially asked her and she officially said yes, that it was a done deal. There was no going back. We were fully married. Just we hadn't consummated yet, but we were fully married. There was no getting out of it. Mm-hmm. After her father approached us and told us that they were good, we talked about it some, and we actually went to town to get some supplies for. I think we did a salt covenant, and we did covenant of the cup, and
I gave my mama a
I don't think. Yeah, I think. We gave a bridal price.
I bought some scarves for head coverings.
Yeah, we got her some head coverings, and so this is happening in one day. So he's telling us yes. We go to town, we get supplies, we come back, and we do the betrothal. No delays, no waiting.
You did. You did. Once my dad told you it was going to be a yes, you came and you got down on one knee.
Yeah, I guess I missed that part. Yeah. So we did after he said yes. So then we went in and we were waiting in the house, and they were in their camper, and he's like, let me go tell my family separately, and you can go tell your family separately, and then we'll come in and say hi. So I told my family, they're all excited. Her dad told her family, and they were excited. I think some of the kids were a little bit upset that I was going to steal her, but generally they were excited. And so when they came back into the house, just straight up right off the bat, I got down on one knee. I proposed. I think it was good. I honestly can't remember anything I said, and we did. Someone recorded it. And then on our way into town to get supplies for the betrothal, we were trying to get footage off the camera so we could record more stuff and so we could record the betrothal. Mm-hmm. And we accidentally deleted the footage. So we don't even know what we said. Okay. But we were told it was good. So
I'm glad that got deleted. That was a very nerve-wracking moment.
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. But yeah, so after that, like I said, we didn't wait around and wait to get a bunch of people there. We just did a betrothal immediately that night with our two immediate families that were there. And I thought it was great. I do think, when I like the idea of keeping the betrothal or getting to the actual betrothal ceremony quickly, because it seems like that eliminates some confusion for some couples. But that's a personal preference. I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's wise.
I know Abigail mentioned that there were some strange ideas, or in her opinion, strange ideas at the time.
Yeah.
How closely?
She fully agrees with me now.
Yes, of course. So how closely were you aligned on doctrinal issues and stuff? Was there a drastic agreement, a lot of disagreement? How did that?
So on the issues that I found, or I personally held higher, which were basically salvational issues, are the ones that I thought of were by far the most important. I wasn't worried about any kind of dietary issues or how we keep the Sabbath or the feast, as long as we both agreed that the Torah was applicable. And like I say, key salvational issues. So the Messiah, Yeshua being the Messiah, him being Yahweh in the flesh, some of those key doctrinal issues of how you're saved, that it's by grace through faith apart from works, and some of those core fundamental like I would say, I would classify them as salvational issues. We agreed 100% on those. And so those are the ones that I was really measuring up against. Everything else is just, gravy on top.
Abigail, so what took it from you saying, I don't think I can marry this guy because he has these strange ideas, to, I guess I do agree with him enough to marry him?
They didn't seem that important once he asked. I mean, like Dave said, we agreed on all the major issues, all the little things. I didn't have like a big list of this is what I wanted in a guy spiritually or something, like his beliefs, because I just figured if my dad approved of him, it was good enough. Honestly, my biggest thing is that I was taller than him, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to marry someone shorter than me. That was the thing I thought of the most. All of our scriptural beliefs, I just figured we'd figure those out as we went along. And then the main ones, we believe the same, all the big ones.
So basically, you trusted your dad to do the important half of the
I figured I didn't have to be super ask tons of questions. I don't know, because I just figured if my dad approved of him, he was good enough in that respect. Obviously I didn't go into it looking for an arranged marriage or something. I wanted to marry the guy, but as far as being good enough guy, I trusted my dad for that.
So is there things you wish you had done differently? And I know you touched on a little bit in the middle there, but is there anything that you really wish that, looking back, that you had done a little differently that someone could learn from your mistakes?
During the betrothal period, we got to hang out as families, and us individually with supervision, not like in the same conversation, but within eyesight supervision. And we were allowed to hold hands, but that was it, hold hands. And so we were able to be in that situation for probably 10 or 11 days, not very long. And then we had a period of separation where their family went to go do, I can't remember, you had to go visit some relatives. I think her grandma.
Well, we went to North Dakota basically to get ready for the wedding. I assumed we were just going to go home to Alaska, and then we started talking about wedding dates, and it's a long drive from Alaska back down to the States. So we're like, well, let's get married before. Right. I'm like, I'm never going home again. Yeah.
So it was like 10 or 11 days together. And then I think it was 34 or 35 days separated until the actual wedding day. So basically we got to spend 10 days together and then 35 apart. And like I say, it's just a personal preference. I would have enjoyed having more time. I don't mean like just selfishly, but I would have enjoyed getting to know her. Getting more personal with her during the betrothal period. Before before the wedding, just to remove some of the awkwardness and make it where we're a little bit more casual around each other. But that, like I say, just a personal preference, and I don't think you're wrong doing it either way. And I definitely think that there could be different situations for different couples, and there might be some couples that you need separation because they're already too intimate. But in our particular case, we were not too intimate, and we definitely could have used a little more getting to know each other time. But like I say, I'm not that. That's that's really nitpicking.
Yeah, in our situation, that's just how it.
Right, that's how it worked.
So we couldn't really change it. But yeah, if you had a choice,
it might be hard as a parent to even recognize like whether they're in our situation or someone else's. So it might even be something that you just couldn't fix because you might. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, where circumstances dictate.
Yeah, where you're like, oh, I don't know that these kids are ready to do that or not. It might be hard for a parent to know that. And so, yeah, I totally get being above board and, without reproach and not having the appearance of evil in any situation kind of thing. Yeah. So I totally get that. And like I say, it's not like I am upset about it, but I do feel like maybe we could have had a little more time together. But some of that was also dictated by, just like she said, the scheduling of, them not wanting to go back to Alaska just to drive back down for the wedding, in a month or two. And so it was kind of, because it was a long drive. It was like 60-hour drive. So I get that too. And so situations could dictate one way or the other. But that was something, if I was going to nitpick, I could change that. But
what about falling in love?
Falling in love.
Aren't you supposed to fall in love before you form a relationship?
I think it says somewhere in there not to awaken love before it's time.
It's time.
Yeah, what's time? Everyone's going to argue about that.
Right.
I don't know. You know, honestly.
So let me ask it this way. So at what point did you feel like you had the butterfly feelings that people talk about?
I had the butterfly feelings as soon as she said yes.
Okay, so you're pretty much instant.
It was, and honestly, I remember thinking about it, how I was just shocked at how quickly it went from, I'm trying to think the best way, like a schoolhouse crush to actually like butterflies in love.
Yeah.
And it was nearly immediate and very fast. And I think it scared her some. So.
I don't know. I mean, I was, as soon as I knew you asked me, it was kind of like, I mean, the butterflies, but like schoolgirl crush. I don't know. Because I was like, oh, he asked me. That's so sweet. And then we were together. It was like, I was fine. I did have a little bit when we were after not spending very much time together and being separated for so long. I did have a couple times where I was like, did I do the right thing? But, I mean, obviously, I did.
Yeah.
And once we were back together again, it was all fine. But
Yeah.
for me, the like head over heels in love probably wasn't until we like actually like got like at the wedding or whatever, and then it was like instantaneous. Like I don't know. Before that, it was like crush, but then like I don't know. I mean, I had feelings for you, but I wouldn't say I was like in love until the wedding. So, but yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. It seems like for both of you, it was a particular point in the commitment that drove the feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
The actions drove the feelings.
Yeah. Say that. Yeah.
Yep. Say that.
Love of my life, and I'm so in love. I'm so in love. I'm so in love. I'm so true love lives. I thought it was not possible, but now I realize it is.
Thanks for watching. This has been a Betrothal Guys love story with Dayton and Abigail. Be sure and hit the like button and subscribe and see future videos like this, and let us know what you think and what kind of questions we should ask other couples in the comments below.